all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Coyotes Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. And we are here with Craig and PD as always, and we are excited to welcome back. Now I feel like you're a recurring guest on this show. Yes. Coyotes General Manager Bill Armstrong, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I love coming here. It's always a pleasure, and I see Craig every day, so I obviously look this way because I don't see you guys enough. But yeah,
we feel the same way.
And Bill's role is still expanding with PHNX. You know already. He's been evaluating employees in the past, so we've got to make some mind for him.
Oh man, yeah, we saw him give PD feedback a couple of
months
ago.
It worked.
Everybody needs motivation.
Been better ever since.
Exactly. Well, obviously, lots to talk about. The season come to a close, but the real season begins in some ways with the draft lottery, free agency. So we'll get into all of that. But just looking back at this season, can you just give us kind of your 10,000-foot view of how the season went, the coaching, the players, and what you guys tried to accomplish?
The message from the get-go and the opening statement I made to the players, like, let's take a step forward, not a step back. And I think, that was kind of hard because we came off a season that, we battled at the end of it, and we kind of made some progress with our culture in that. And then we took on more bad contracts, and, our players were looking around like, Phil Kessel's gone out of this room. Who are we going to replace him with? And there's a lot of unanswered questions. And I just said, hey, listen, you got to approach this year. We're going forward. You have to be a driver. And really from the get-go, our guys did that. Again, we got back into the culture about working hard, playing hard, about trying to get better, win the day. Don't look too far forward, just win that day. And I thought that was a great part of the season. I think coaches made some really good progress with the team as far as PP and PK. We got a little bit better. We were able to get some wins at home. And guys on our team, they took a step, where you could kind of see him a little bit before as Michelli stood out, Moser stood out, Barrett Hayden took a massive step, and Keller kept going. And then the emergence of Ingram to come back in net that we picked up off waivers, and Valimaki. All of a sudden, these pieces emerge, and you get excited when you watch our team because you're not watching our team going, hey, I wonder who they're going to get. You're like, wow, they got some pieces. If they can go and add to this, there's another step we can take the following year. So I think as a fan, as a GM, it's a good time to be with the Yotes because of some of the pieces that have emerged. And we haven't even got into, the prospects we've drafted in the last few years, along with the picks that we acquired this year.
You talked about something interesting there with Kessel being gone. You also had players like Ladd and Roussel and Strawman and some veteran leadership guys. With them gone, do you think that afforded players like Krause, like Keller to go, maybe it's me that has to lead this team? Is that what helped them take another step forward?
I think that's exactly what happened. We had a lot of worries in the summer of like, who's going to lead this team, and those guys just stepped forward. I think there was emergence of a leadership group, a young leadership group, and they were great. They pushed through a lot of the hard times of the season, and they're young guys, and I think the add-ons of the Valimakis of the world, and they led in their own way. They came into the organization a little bit later off waivers, and all of a sudden they were part of that group that's driving it forward. If you look out after practice, he's still shooting pucks, he's still stick handling, he's still doing skating drills, and now that culture has slowly sunk in, and everybody that comes in now is into that culture. And after the game ends, win or lose, they're the boys in the gym. You arrive at the rink before the game. There they are, all in line doing their warm-ups. It's our culture is slowly growing.
I want to come back to the growth of that core in a leadership role in a minute and how it might impact the future. But let's go chronologically here because there are a few big dates on the calendar coming up.
There's first of all, May. Everyone is asking, what's the biggest day, and we have the week of me, because my birthday is on the 18th of May.
Oh my gosh!
So it's a full week of celebration, But because of all the other dates in May, I have a little bit of a fear that we're going to go by that as a family. No. So yeah. But anyways, go.
That's all right. Yeah. May, the draft lottery. Yeah. It's about 3 weeks away, and we were talking about taking steps. Maybe they took a step too far this season. But if you enjoy some luck, that could obviously be a game changer for the organization. If you just hold serve and say you're at 6-12 with the Ottawa pick, how does that impact the rebuild?
Well, we plan to get 2 really good players there, one at 6 and one at 12. And I would give you an example of when, in St. Louis, we had the 2 picks and we took Jaden Swartz and Tarasenko. Now, for 10 years, they were solid, really almost stars. Tarasenko's a star, and Swartz was just an unbelievable player that helped us win a cup. If we can walk out of the draft with 2 guys like that play for a long time for us, that's a great draft for us because we've already got some pieces here and we can add in. It would be a huge draft to allow this franchise to take another step to becoming not only a playoff team, but a consistent playoff team.
On the flip side, if you do have some luck, you could get a different caliber of player.
Yeah.
We talked about this, I think, in the past show. You have anything in mind for like a good luck charm or a talisman or something you're going to do to try and change the luck of this franchise in the lottery?
Yeah, normally that stuff kind of comes to me. I know we were on a scouting trip and we got a Chinese fortune cookie in Sweden and said to those that are prepared, the luck will come.
Wow.
And that was
like that.
Yeah, and that was like changed us. We put that quote in Swedish up for the guys in the meetings and all that. Normally it just comes to you. So I haven't found it yet, but I'm good. I know something will come up and bring us a little bit of luck there. And the odds are that the Yotes are due. The Yotes are due for some luck.
We've been saying.
And that's what I want to say to everybody listening too. If you have a lucky charm or a talisman or something, please get it on your person in the first week of May, because any little bit we can help.
Or
we're
collect
gonna
them all and ship them,
Yeah.
Are you going to be in? Is it Secaucus? Is that where it's going to be, or where's the draft lottery this year?
We have a place rented in Tempe. We're going to do a little bit of a draft party there, a draft lottery party. So it'll be a fun for the Yotes fans. There'll be more information coming soon, but that'll be really really nice. We'll all get together, the fans, and we'll do it live. Yeah, it'll be pretty exciting.
Maybe you can set up like a good luck wall outside the hotel then or something, or whatever it is.
Like I can tell you a story about a draft lottery. I'm not going to name the name or the players, the GM or the players involved, but you can. He lost it. He got second, and he was so distraught that basically the guy that they got as number 2, it was like that guy wasn't worth anything because the reaction of the GM.
No.
It was, so I always think about that, you never want to be that guy that not only did you not get number 1, that you pissed off number 2. He was so distraught he couldn't hide. He was like, oh God, So you never want to do that.
My God.
But that brings up a good point. Like, depending on where you fall on that May 8th day, it changes groupings of how you're going to pitch. So as our scouting staff, how do you prepare for the eventuality that maybe you are 6 and 12? Have you gone through a fine-tooth comb and have it in sections for that first round?
When you're the head scout, you're constantly working the ranges and figuring out what range are we going to go in here and making sure the coverage is there. So they do that daily. That's and they'll advise me on, hey, listen, this is where this guy could creep in here. Here's the guys that you got to watch. So it's a daily adjustment where they're going. Their big concern on our improvement meetings today was, if I asked the NHL to do the draft lottery earlier so they could have a better idea of where we're going to fall.
Yeah, because that happens quick after that.
It happens very quick.
Yeah, very true. So right now, you guys have a lot of picks at the draft. We actually have a graphic of all the picks in the 2023 draft. This one's from Puckpedia.
Barely fit on the screen.
I know. 12 picks at the 2023
That's it?
draft. 2 firsts, a second, 4 thirds, a fourth, 2 fifths, and 2 sixths.
Jeez.
If anyone's counting.
Yeah.
Do you expect to execute on all of those, or are there plans maybe to package some of them to acquire either existing players or move up? You don't have to give up your draft strategy, but are you expecting to pick all of those picks?
Well, if you're an amateur scout going into that for the Yotes, you're thinking about swinging on every single one of them.
They want you to get more.
If you're the pro guys going in, you're hoping to to make a few trades and use the picks. And as a coach, you're hoping to come out with a couple players that could help you now. So for me as a GM, I got to sit in there and navigate and figure, what's the best? Are we moving up, in a higher pick? Are we going to go acquire a player? Is there a player available that fits into our timeline and age of our players? It could really help us. Then, we're open for business. So we're going to try and improve our team. We're going to try and take a step. We're not going to do anything crazy. but we are going to try to get better.
In comparison, Bill, you've been to a lot of drafts and you've seen how many picks, we just put it up, how many picks the Coyotes have. Mm-hmm. But you've been on the other side of the coin too. Can you give us an idea what an average is for a team to pick in the draft, or give people listening, oh gosh, 12, that doesn't seem like that many.
Yeah, that's it's insane, most times right? You're somewhere between 5 or 6 picks. And when I was with the Blues, we were picking in that 26 range every time. So we were always excited about picking that 26. We're like, hey, we got a chance, And then, then there were years where we picked at 56.
Yeah.
And you're like, and we were still excited, and so you just, as an amateur, a scout and a staff, you just want to pick. You spend, countless flights and car rentals, and, all you want to do is get to the draft and draft. You see all these good players, you want to go out and get them. So it's really exciting for those guys to get to the draft, and really they want to swing. They're not, really good. Amateur scouts are not afraid to make mistakes. They're like, hey, let's go get this one, So,
but we shouldn't. And I know everybody knows who Connor Bedard is. Yeah. Everybody in the hockey world knows. But we shouldn't be crying in our beer if that's not the Coyotes pick, right? And that includes your staff and your scouts and our fans should go, hey, things are okay.
Yeah, odds are we're not gonna pick him, So. If the odds aren't with us, then we have to prepare. Always prepare for the best and always prepare for the worst. But even if it's our worst day, we're going to get some really good players that we're going to be excited about playing. In the National Hockey League, that's going to help us take another step. And with the amount of picks that we have, we can build a team that is not only good from the first line to the fourth line and cut you with 1,000 different blades. We might not have the guy that goes through everybody, but when you get to our fourth line, it's a damn good line. So I think you can't get too swept up in the fact that there's only one player at this year's draft.
How is the chemistry with your scouting staff now? You brought guys in from a lot of different areas. Yeah. They've had some time to work with each other. How's that coming along now?
Really good. I was surprised because, when you leave St. Louis, I was crying, I'm like, who am I going to, how are we going to do this, and I'll never find guys like my guys. And then you get into the process and you have guys like Rick Comley here, you have guys like, Daryl Plandowski, and they see, players, and they have different thought processes and all that. And then the next thing you know, you're drafting well, and you can see that, hey, listen, the thought process of drafting Logan, Cooley, and what they do, and you get excited about our staff. In a short period of time, we've made some hay with our staff, and they're really good about keeping the pressure. I know the message was, when we left the midterm meetings was, hey, listen, we haven't done anything. Like, we're on. Let's go here, boys. Let's make sure. Let's drive this one home. If we can hit on 2 big time players here, we got a chance to move forward here. So they're really good about, always working to get better and really trying to make that staff better. We do a lot of teaching on the staff too, and when we get to rookie camp and that. So
do Daryl and Ryan complement each other? They seem like
different
personalities. Yeah, I'm wondering how they play off each other.
Yeah, no, Ryan is super organized. Really well organized, and really like schedules. He's on. And Daryl, is really good. He sees the glass half full. He's really good at taking that guy and be like, we're going to draft that guy this way. And even though the player hasn't got there yet, he's really good at the projection. That's where he's really good. And he's got massive experience about being with Tampa Bay and the way they drafted. And Ryan, obviously from his days in Buffalo and the Island and Team Canada, has massive experience too. And they just work really well together. They're very positive. They like the input from their staff, and they rely heavily on their staff. That's good. It's a nice, they're a yin and yang.
Yeah. Well, we're on the topic of the draft. Probably we've dug deep, but the most important question, and we saw it from last year in Montreal, was the matching blue suits. So as we get into Nashville, 1, is there a plan? 2, when will we unveil that plan, and should we be looking for a cowboy-themed outfit in Nashville?
It's a great question. Just remember that this was my fault that this happened.
Now you're stuck.
Just remember this, and as we did this process to go through the suits, you can't stop, right?
Now you're done.
Yeah, because then you're a quitter. So we have a new theme. We have a new color. I can't really reveal it right now.
Of course not.
It's top secret. but you know, it is. It's all going to be tied together. It's gonna. You know, if
Can't
you're
wait.
a Yotes
Can't
fan,
wait.
you're gonna enjoy it.
Does it
Can't
stand
wait.
out? Does it pop when you guys
It
walk
pops.
in?
Oh,
But
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's
We're gonna
funny.
notice.
Look for this because you were the only team to ever do it in the
Yeah.
history of the National Hockey Draft. I would bet
Yeah.
that you will not be the only team doing it this season.
I'm
I bet you
curious about
somebody will follow in your footsteps, and there will be another team doing it.
I would say so with ties and socks and
Yes.
all that kind of like
Not to the extent.
Yeah, maybe not to the extent
That's amazing.
that we did it, but it certainly we stood out. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
When we walked into the draft floor, it stopped traffic. Like 17,000 people went.
Love it. In Montreal. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and when we got off the bus, it was on from the time because there was
Yeah.
a huge crowd out front, and we had to go through the crowd to get in. It was
You got to
just like-
own it too. Once
Yeah.
you've
Oh
done
yeah,
it, you-
yeah. No, you got to own it. And when I got to the airport, the guy's like, "Oh, you guys are the blue suit." You know? So no, but it's funny. Our staff absolutely loved it.
That's awesome.
They absolutely loved it, and so it's kind of taken its own form and kept going, and we've
really
added
cool.
a few things to it, so we're excited. Yep.
I love it. Can't wait. Obviously, lots more to get into. We need to talk about free agency still, but before we do,
Yeah.
just want to let everybody know that with the NHL playoffs going on, first of all, what a great night one, PD.
Yes.
We had 3 periods of overtime, just crazy games, and it's even more fun when you bet on those games on BetMGM. So if you haven't signed up yet, use the bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, you'll get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager. With BetMGM, here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app, sign up with the bonus code PHNX, place a pregame moneyline wager in the amount of at least $10 on any market at standard odds price. You'll receive $10 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Just make sure you use bonus code PHNX when you sign up. Plus, join us at the BetMGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium for all Suns away playoff games. The first one is this upcoming Thursday, April 20th. Our PHNX Suns watch parties presented by Neutral will feature food and drink specials, PHNX giveaways, and BetMGM deposit matches. Join us by grabbing your free ticket in the show notes. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't been out to the Sportsbook in Glendale, it's fabulous. So it's going to be a great place to watch the Suns game on Thursday. You can check out the show notes for full offer details. And now, our favorite part, listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Thank you to Shane as always. I'm actually headed out of town this week. I might have to make one more stop at Illegal Pete's before I go.
A little
Because,
queso before you go.
oh, especially, listen, Canada.
Queso and margarita.
Canada is not really known for great Mexican food.
No, really?
Maybe not great queso, just saying.
No.
So I'm going to stop at Illegal Pete's on my way, kind of close to the airport. They have delicious ingredients, customizable options, perfect way to treat people to a culinary adventure they'll never forget. If you want to book a catering order, head to catering.illegalpete's.com. Check out Illegal Pete's. Everybody, I have yet to steer anybody wrong at Illegal Pete's, just saying. The diehards have agreed. So Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. All right, let's get
So-
back into it.
Before we move past the draft, I thought of one other thing I wanted to ask you, and I'm curious what it's like. The draft floor looks like just complete chaos while we're watching it, and then you've got the possibility of trades. We see, you see reports. He's on the phone, like nobody knows what the hell is being said on the phone.
Yeah.
Could be, asking your wife to pick up milk, but it's still being reported on social media. What is it like when there's actually a trade brewing? You don't need to get
Well,
into
I'm going to tell you a funny story.
but yeah.
So, we went back and watched the draft footage one year, my wife and I, and she had taped it or whatever, and there was the 2 GMs out on the floor, and they were going at it and they were talking about it, and I knew them, or whatever. So like I called them afterwards, after watching. I said, "Well, you guys are pretty heated." He's like, "Yeah, we couldn't figure out where we're golfing together this summer."
No.
And he was saying, "You come to my place." No, I came there last time. You come to mine. But they're like, and the Canadian GMs they're on them all the time, and they did it on purpose as a laugh.
That's
but they were just like,
fantastic.
no,
Oh my
you're coming
God.
over to my place. I'm paying, and they're moving their hands, and I was dying.
No.
But yeah, most times I get up because I don't like the noise in the phone. A lot of times, all the trades that we do are set up via text. Right before we leave, there's a portion where like I just hammer the texts out and say, listen, if we'll give you this for this, and and then it's in written form, and you can work off that. So now they're thinking about that. So when you actually get to the moment, because it happens so quickly, you don't have time. Because you're on the clock right away. So if they have it in written form, then you can get up and say, okay, I'll move this. Okay, we're good. Yep, and then it gets done and that. But it is, it is intense. It's great. I mean, I love adrenaline. So for me, when you're on that draft floor, it's on. And it's just great.
I wonder how many speculative pieces were written about that conversation between those two. They were talking about this.
And they're moving their hands. No.
Oh my
All right, let's move past the draft. I'm curious. These are back to back. These go together.
Yeah.
What's going to be your approach? We'll start with the free agent market, and then we'll go look at the trade market as well. Yeah. What's your approach with free agency?
Free agency is really get in depth with our pro staff and figure out what's available for us. Does it fit for what we need in our timeline? And then, how can we, what is the term, what is the cost it's going to, impact our club, and is it going to move us forward? So we're really going to get into that. Our guys are out right now actually doing a majority of the scouting to see those free agents that are still playing in pressure situations. If they're headed over to the World Championships, we'll be going over there to watch them, but really staying on it. Like there's a few things we can add into our team that could make us a better team. So we're going to study that free agency
for the
market.
long term, or are you thinking more short term?
I think there's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Like a type of player where he doesn't play very well, where like it's Nick Bukestad last year. You're looking for the next guy that's kind of becoming him. But there's some players out there that would fit in for us that could be very good players. That would help our young guys along and kind of grow and give them a little bit of shelter too in certain situations. So when, the other team, you line up and you're in their rink and, your young guy's not at center playing against Connor McDavid, and there's nowhere to hide. So you have to make sure as you bring the young players along, you give them shelter at times.
Same question for the trade market, whether it's at the draft or after the draft.
Trades are a big thing now for us because we have the picks. So there's opportunity for us. It depends on which teams commit to kind of rebuilding and gutting their teams. We'll see what's available through there. If there's new GMs that come on board for teams, you're saying, hey, are you happy there? Well, but trades are a big part of that. And we've got a lot of asset and picks to kind of help, kind of complement some of the guys that are in there now and in some depth positions too. But trades are a big thing for us right now. We'll be looking.
You talked about your draft list. Do you have pro list too? Like you looked at Kesselring, Yusuf Alamaki, Mackey. You got guys that joined your team and looked like minor parts of a deal.
Yeah.
Are they guys that, because they fit in?
Yeah,
like Kesselring has fit in. He got some points in his last game. Mackey has a big role, and Yusuf Alamaki.
Yeah,
talk about a big role.
Yeah,
that you picked up on waivers.
Yeah,
so do you look those guys up?
Yeah, we have lists. We have lists that we think, hey, this guy's going to be available in a trade. This guy's not going to get qualified. This particular player, he's going to be up on waivers at the start of the year. Just wait it out and see what we can get. And our group has done a nice job with that. And you see the Ingrams of the world, the Wedgwoods of the world, and also Valimaki, for waivers. There's a lot. You have to have I always said this before, to be a championship team on the ice, you have to build a championship team off the ice, behind the scenes, and savvy scouts and, passionate scouts are like, they're, I don't know if it's, they can be annoying almost at times. Like, I want that guy. I know you want that guy. You've told me 8 times you want that guy. No, I really want him. I really, you know what I mean? Like, they're almost annoying. And then when the guy comes on waivers, like, okay, I got him for you. And they're like, oh, and they're so excited. But that's them. They're so passionate that they want the player. You get excited about working with guys like that.
Yeah, well, Valimaki is part of your power play. He could be a top 4 defenseman for this team. How, do you have to be ready? Like, does the opposing team think, I'm going to slide this guy through? There's so many guys going through waivers today. But do you think, because you've been on the other side of it too, where you try to get a guy through waivers, is it just, you have to be on that wire and be ready to pounce?
You have to be ready on the wire, because you figure out in the summer, like, they signed this guy, and this guy. Somebody has to go on waivers, because they're not going to make the opening roster. And at some point in time, they have to go down. So you're just sitting and waiting. And that's the same with Ingram. We knew, he was going to go through. It's just a matter of time when they're going to put him through. So you just had to sit there and wait, and we got lucky on the claim, but we got him. So they've been really good for us. But your scouts, there's not only pro scouts, amateur scouts, but they've got to hammer the American League. They've got to hammer the waivers. You got to be savvy through analytics, any way that you can find players.
We've talked about players. Let's talk about staff for a second.
Yep.
Andre Tourigny and his staff are all coming due at the end of next season.
Yep.
And it's hard to evaluate those guys on wins and losses. We've talked about that before, but we've heard from player after player after player of what Andre Tourigny has meant to the development of this team and the direction they're going. When do you, as the GM, when will you start that evaluation process of those contracts? Is there a timeline yet, or is it just too soon?
Well, you don't really want to leave people, I was putting myself in those shoes. You don't really want to leave people hanging, where they're wondering what they're going to be doing the following year. There's ways you can approach that, and you can be honest with them, and say for different reasons, whether it's ownership, in St. Louis, we had change of ownership, so guys couldn't get new contracts, or you just, hey, you get contracts done. I remember Doug Armstrong with us, we're dead last, and he went and got contracts for all of us, for a 3-year period. So, there's different ways to do it. Our plan is to sit down and do a little bit more evaluation, but getting into talking about renewing some contracts, not only of the coaching, but other staff members. So we'll address that this summer, and we'll start to make some hay on that. But I would say this, that he's done a great job with the players. He is exactly the way that we described him. Is he builds relationships. He can be firm with people. He can get the most out of people without leaving a scar, and he's done a nice job of that. And that's the reason we've hired him. He's got great patience with players and putting them in certain roles to kind of get better. Whether it's Barrett Hayden or it's Clayton Keller or it's Moser, you've seen these guys all grow during the course of the year and over the last couple of years by the way that he plays them and puts them in good situations to develop. And I think there's also a process of his other staff members behind the scenes, some guys that you don't see as much, from our skills guys to assistant coaches. They do a lot of the ground and pound with those players and getting them, into good situations, working with them, showing them video, and building relationships behind the scenes too. So Andre does a great job, and along with his staff, and proof's in the pudding. Everybody's had really good years, and I think that's a credit to him and his staff.
Obviously, this can change based on lottery luck or the emergence of some new young players, but do you expect next season's roster to have similar characteristics to the past 2 seasons? Obviously, there's been the core, then there's been veteran players. You've brought in guys like you mentioned, the Nick Bjugstad, Shane Gostisbehere, maybe ones who needed a resurgence. Or because we've seen the maturation of players like Keller, Krause, etc., will that change the timeline of things? I'm just curious what the outlook is for the building of the roster for next season.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into. Obviously, we've set out to do our scouting to make sure we've some of the pieces that are available out there to make us better. Now we've got to come to the conclusion that, are we willing to pay it in term and in salary? Is there other ways that we could do that? So we'll get at that. We first go into the amateur meetings end of May, and then into June, and we will get into the pro meetings right after that. But for our roster, we're looking to get better. We're looking to add a few pieces that are going to really kind of complement some of the players there, or some of the younger players that will be coming back, just to make them a little bit better and put them in good situations. So I do think we've got a chance to kind of take I wouldn't say a baby step, but we can take a step like we did from the previous year. We'll take a bigger step next year. And I think that will put us in a good situation where I'd like to see us not only be good at home, but be better on the road, put up some more road wins.
Just on that same vein, a follow-up kind of, where do you see now on the timeline of the rebuild? Where can you point on the timeline where the team is right now?
Yeah, like it's funny. We had this same conversation we had our coaches meeting, and it's interesting. Like, we get talking about this, and I said, listen, we're exactly where we're supposed to be. I don't know if our team's going to be a lot better, but we'll be younger. And what will happen is we're going to get those young players in there and to take a step. And for our coaches, they're going to get to work with some players that are going to be around for the next 4, 5, 6 years and be some of our core players, but they're young. So it's an exciting time for us to get that snap to the pieces in. And obviously it takes a while to be a good NHL player that can help your team push. So we're going to have some good young players join our roster next year. But I don't think it's going to drive us to be a playoff team. And we'd be crazy to think that we're going to be in that realm of competing for a playoff spot. And I think it's too early. I think the other thing, I was listening to a GM the other day in basketball. It was the Oklahoma Thunder there. And he got the same question. He said, well, it's got to happen naturally. And I believe in that. I believe that your core has to show you that they're ready to take that next step. And you don't want to be in there, jamming things in there, signing guys for massive contracts. And then all of a sudden we're right back where we were before.
Yeah.
And we've got to let our players tell us when we're ready. When are we going to make that next step and not rush the process, but let that process happen naturally. When it does, then we'll be at the deadline and we'll add a few pieces just to kind of make it better. But we're not trying to, make a fake run, as I call it.
Absolutely. Obviously, we want to talk about some of those upcoming young players here in a second. But first, we've talked a lot about the NHL draft, but coming up next week is the NFL draft already.
Oh, yeah.
It's around the corner. And if you want to take it in as with fellow Cardinals fans, the best place to do that is at the Four Peaks 8th Street Pub on Thursday, April 27th, beginning at 2 p.m., the official PHNX Cardinals draft party. Johnny and Bo will be broadcasting live from Four Peaks, much like we did last year for our draft show. It's going to be a ton of fun. So join us at Four Peaks. You can register for free in the link in our show notes to take advantage of beer specials, $3 Redbird Lager pints, $5 Redbird Lager pitchers, $3 Kitlifter and Wild Pine. So lots of great offers. It's going to be a blast. Join us. If you're going to drink, you got to be 21 or older to enjoy responsibly. If you're feeling any sort of stress about it, OGs is here for you with that.
There we go.
Listen,
we might need some of that here for the 8th.
Yeah, May 8th. We might. That show is sponsored by OGs for sure.
Stress reliever.
Yeah, they have something for everyone. Sleep Edition, microdose gummies, CBD, THC, Happy Balance gummies, and they taste delicious. And they're locally scratch made. So we love OGs. You can find them at your local dispensary at ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 or older to enjoy responsibly. Craig?
Wanted to ask you about Sam Lipkin's decision to go back to Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had a lot of conversations. What are your thoughts on that decision and the wisdom of it, I guess?
Well, I always like when our players make a decision and kind of explain why. And he put a lot of thought process into it. And I think it had to do a little bit with schooling too. He had been in 1 year. 2 years gives you a better chance to graduate. And I think he felt like there was a little bit more for him to accomplish at Quinnipiac, and he could come into the pro game a little bit faster and stronger by doing another year. Quinnipiac is a good school. Obviously, they won the national championship. They do a great job developing. They've got a great, arena there. Facilities are magnificent. So we're excited for him. Obviously, we a little bit disappointed that he didn't join us. But at the same time, he's got a process, and he's going back to a great school. They're going to have a chance to compete for another national championship next year. So we're excited for that for him. And he'll be in doing some summer training. He'll be in for the development camp, and we'll get our hands on him there. And he's a pretty exciting player. You love when you see the 7th rounders kind of achieve as he did and make that big play in the big moment. That's what. That's why we draft him,
Okay, he did it against another guy, and maybe there's nothing to say here, but everybody's wondering when are we getting a decision on Logan Cooley?
Yeah, well, it's coming. I think Logan was kind of upset because when we did the call, I said that the Minnesota team had the refs wearing the Minnesota jersey against BU because my son played on BU. So, and he kind of responded, he was like, well, I'll take your 5 power plays. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a tough game, because you think back as a dad, I was working for the Bruins at the time, and I would come home and my son would be in the door with full Bruins gear on, with skate guards on, the Armstrong 29. And just dressed to tease, and that's your son, and you're finally getting to the peak, and he's going in the Frozen Four, and his line's matched up against Cooley's line. So how do you cheer for that one? So that was a difficult.
And you got
game.
to go, right? So,
I did. I got to watch him play, and
that's really
it was very entertaining. Obviously, Minnesota's a heck of a team, and took over the game, but it was a good game. Yeah.
Okay, so aside from player, coach, hockey ops evaluations, and the requisite scouting you got to do for the draft and free agency and trades, as if that's not enough. What else is on your summer docket?
Well, we're pretty like transparent organizations. We just get done the improvement meetings, so there's a lot of stuff to buy, a lot of gadgets.
By the way, there's something called improvement meetings. We didn't know about this, so can you tell us what the improvement meetings are?
It's where your whole staff gets together, and and it's really you put up there like make good better, get 4% better, and change before you have to. If we do this, will this help us win a championship 5 years from now? They have to be in that. So we get right into it as a staff. And it's really good because, your staff's pushing, they're like, hey, listen, we need this type of video to develop. We need this, and everybody's there. So it's, it goes back and forth, and it's a big staff, so it really helps everybody get invested in the process of getting better.
You going to get a chance to go to the World Championship or any of the CHL playoffs? And are you going to bounce around?
Yeah, I'm going to head over to the Worlds here, and we'll get over there and see some of the players. I'll get out to see our team play in Coachella Valley, our American League team in the playoffs, so that's a big game. And then do some overseas, come back, and I might end up going back over to the Worlds, depending on if there's prospects playing. So.
You going to go to the music festival in Coachella too?
Bill and I will go together. We fit right in. Burning Man.
I would love to, but
actually, you might.
They're driving our hotel costs up right now. So
I heard about that. It's like insane.
Yeah. So
So let's talk about Tucson for just a minute.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the development process and we talked about drafting, trading, building a team, what does this mean for the guys down in Tucson to be going through a playoff run and playing meaningful games this time of the season?
Well, I just met with all the coaches down there, and I was extremely excited that this group, was able to kind of make playoffs because we had taken some of their best players, from Ivan to Kelman to Dolphin to Day, and we just kept taking players and Soda at the Soderstrom. So for them to get in was huge. Also, what I like about how they got in was, they were down 4-0 in a game. They're down 4-1. They came back to get points. Like they just wouldn't roll over. So I was really impressed by that group, just how hard they fought. It was, for me, it was exactly the way the Yotes are. We were going to have to kick, scrap, and fight and do everything we can to get a point. So now everybody's, we sent some players down, and now they're going to play a second best team in the American League. So that's going to be a dogfight for them. But I got a good feeling about that group. They're gamers. They want to play, and I was really happy with the job the coaching staff did.
I had, Coachella Valley is obviously Seattle's affiliate, and you saw Ricky Olczyk talking. Yeah. There's legitimate concern for them because you get to add all these pieces to the roster. They don't get to add anybody. So they're worried about that matchup.
Yeah, and we've played them well this year too. So it's going to be a battle down there. You like to see your players in the heat of playoffs, in that battle, playing the big moment. What can they do? How do they react? That's a huge thing for us.
Bill, you talk about the players that got sent down there. Can you take us inside their heads, like a Soderstrom, who's had a big role here? Yeah. Is it a disappointment that, I see all these other guys are going home or starting their summer training and I got to go play? Or is it, gosh, I can't wait to get back there and show what I can do? Like, can you take us inside their head?
You hope it's a second. You hope it's, hey, I want to get down there and show, and also fight for the organization. Yeah. Fight. This is your organization. You got to put it on the line. You got to play hard. You got to go down there and try and get us through to the next round, playing the big moments. So I hope that's the way I explained it to them. I hope they can go down there and wrap their head around it and I think some of those guys were excited about going down too. So, for me, I know as a player, no matter where I was, playoffs, you get excited. I mean, if you're a competitor, you want to compete. I walked into that Frozen Four, my hands were shaking. I thought to myself, who wouldn't want to be here? This is, you want to play, and you watch the NHL playoffs last night. I mean, I get nerves just watching that. You see the fans in Edmonton, the passion that they have. You want to play.
Yeah, so true. One more quick trip at the end of this crazy summer, Australia. Have you been to Australia
Nothing going on
before?
here.
No, but I am so excited about this trip. This is a game changer for us because there's not very many times as a organization you get to go to Australia. Yeah. It's like, and to play hockey against the Kings there, and and you get everything paid for. I mean, my God, I mean, what more do you want? You know, like, you know, the only issue I think I'm going to have is when, like, you only get so many first class, you know, seats in the flight. So if my wife comes and I have to put her in the back of the plane, she's going to be upset. And how do I deal with that? You know, because I'm a big guy. I can't
You're
get
in the
middle
sleeper,
seat.
and she's in the middle seat.
Know? And like you start off with incredible thoughts about, okay, you know, I'm going to be polite about this. You know, there's no good way to tell her, like, yeah, no, there's only one first class seat for me, and I'm going to take that and move it to the back of the plane. So then what's going to happen is that I'm going to give it to her because I can see the reaction, and then I'm going to be 15 hours in the middle seat, you know, all the way to Australia in the back of the
You can't even stand up at
those
the end.
flight commercials with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sitting in the middle seat.
That's-
Like,
But you can tell though where the pressure is, because we're talking about all the things that are going on, and that's where your head is going right now in Australia. So I can appreciate that.
That's a brutal flight.
But
in
all seriousness, it's going to be a great trip for us as an organization, especially the players to bond. You know, it's a small group that's going. The players, the coaches, all there. It's going to really help us take that step as a team early on in the season because of the bonding, being together, and doing the team building over there in Australia. It's going to be an unbelievable time. Everybody's going to have, you know, just that extra little bit of bonding together on that trip. It's gonna pay dividends for us, and we have enough time once we land to get over, you know, all that travel. I think we got enough days. I think it's an hour per day or whatever you get over. So we'll have enough days to get back before the season starts.
is this basically training camp then over there? I mean,
Yeah,
that's pretty much what you're doing.
That's it.
Okay.
So I just have a question, because I know when we talked about this last week, there's going to be a group here in Arizona still and a group there. So like, how do you decide who gets to go? I know you might not have thought that far ahead yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's some planning, but there's also some opportunity for some players to stay here and play games and play NHL exhibition games and make their name. Yeah. So, you know, whether you get invited or you don't, you got to get down to business. You know,
the league's going to require a certain amount of veterans too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So there's you've got to come and play, and this is there's opportunity. Yeah, it might not be in Australia, but you know what? We're going to be certainly tracking every player that plays well in our games here, and when we're away, and they'll get a good chance when we get back.
All right, you ready to test your Australian knowledge?
Oh my God!
So I
Lee's
was
going to put you
so
on
I
the
was
spot.
so last week at wrap up day, I was doing a quiz with a bunch of the guys on Australian lingo. And at practice last week, and don't worry, they all were very bad at it, so the bar is very low. I think
I was too. So
I think only two guys kind of got it.
Yeah.
So really, the pressure's off. But I'm gonna also throw some ones I didn't ask them, because I don't want to fully spoil like the ones that I asked them.
But the bar is low, but
It's
Bill
very
is
low.
kind of worldly. Like, he's literally been everywhere.
Yeah, but that better been Russia,
Sweden, I guess.
Finland,
not so much.
the Scandinavian
scouting
countries.
trips in Australia.
Not a
I
lot of
haven't been
scouting
to New
trips there.
Zealand. To see the, you know, so.
I gotta say, and nobody was as stressed as Matthias Michelli was.
Oh my
He
God.
took it very seriously.
Yes.
It was so funny. All right, first word I'm gonna throw you. This is like, and I've been to Australia, and I actually had a note on my phone of all the phrases. So this is straight from that. So first word, lollies.
A player that won't go get a puck in the corner.
I like the angle.
Yeah, I like the
it.
GM answer.
Yeah, I would have to say
That's
it's
a
pretty
winner right
accurate.
It's candy in Australia.
Which you better learn before you get there.
Say it again.
Lollies.
Lollies, like
Okay.
lollipop. Lollies.
Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Now that I think
I
about
like
it that
your
way.
definition.
Okay, what's Arvo?
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
I didn't. This
What's
is
Arvo?
new. I didn't ask the players
Arvo.
this.
A player that won't block a shot.
I really like your approach to this. It's the afternoon. That's what they call it.
Oh,
The
okay.
afternoon.
Okay.
Obviously, they say it in their accent, and it makes it sound like me saying Arvo is probably not accurate.
Interesting.
Arvo.
Yeah. Okay, one more. I'm gonna go off script because again, I don't want to spoil the ones that I gave to the players. But what is a stubby holder?
It's
Played Moose Jaw back in the 60s.
beer can or something.
It's a beer koozie.
Oh,
Wow.
Nailed
Wow.
it.
Actually,
Okay.
almost got
Well,
it.
I came from a long line of beer drinking Canadians that raised
That's
me.
a
So
good one.
yeah.
Oh man. Well, that was a pretty good
I'm impressed.
effort, I will say.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Better sharpen up on those before you get there.
Yeah,
though.
absolutely.
That's outstanding.
You'll have
Any
to
luck will be joining you.
Yeah.
What's up, Brandon Spano?
I'll sit in the middle seat in the back row. I volunteer.
And another take you a peek behind the curtain. I had a chance to talk to your travel guy, David Griffiths, and already just, oh my gosh, his head's about to explode.
He's
planning all this, planning all that.
Griff?
Well, not only that, but everybody like on the staff, the improvement meetings as well. We'd like to see, this guy go to Australia. This guy from the staff.
I really need to be there.
I need to be there. Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Just if someone really wants to go, but they're not going to go, just show them a picture of the spiders. And I think that's a good
Bird eating
deterrent.
spiders there?
Oh,
They got bird eating spiders.
they're massive, like
Seriously?
bigger than my laptop.
That's
Seriously?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
in Melbourne.
Yeah.
They're not in Melbourne.
Not in
are
the
they?
city, but just don't go. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anywho.
Buddy.
Oh, man. All right. Well, if you've been watching us on YouTube, thank you. Be sure to hit the like button while you're here. And you might see in the bottom left corner, we got our brand new PHNX Coyotes 4 Peaks collab tee on display. Those are for sale right now at phnxlocker.com. We saw the whole crew wearing them at our season wrap party last week at 4 Peaks. They looked amazing. So make sure to grab yours and stay up to date with all your Coyotes news and notes all season, off season long, because we're still here 5 days a week, even in the off season. We'll have coverage of the playoffs as well in the lead up to the NHL draft. Become a diehard. You can read Craig's weekly diehard articles. That way you also get 20% off on merch and events. And I got to say, this week specifically, we're involving the diehards in a lot of stuff. We have our diehard only NHL playoff bracket. We have a diehard choice awards coming up later this week that will involve our diehards. So if you're sitting here thinking, I want to get in on that, become a diehard, join our Discord, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
And they have a big part of tomorrow's show, too.
Yes.
Yep.
We
More work
Javier.
we can get them to do for us.
They've actually asked some phenomenal questions. So
Javier's in
tomorrow-
studio tomorrow answering
Coyotes-
diehard questions.
Coyotes
Town Hall
president
with
and
Javier
CEO.
Gutierrez tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yep.
and thank you to everyone in the Discord who asked amazing questions. We will ask him tomorrow. And that was another perk of being a diehard. You get to your questions asked first to Javier. So lots of great perks to becoming a diehard. And last but not least, the best news of the day for me is I saw Max restocking the Circle K snack cart.
Oh, finally.
Finally. I'm super
Somebody-
excited about this.
Yeah.
Another perk of this office. It's amazing. And if you haven't tried any of the snacks or drinks at Circle K yet, stop by. When I'm telling you there's a Circle K everywhere, there's
Yes,
a
they
Circle
are.
K everywhere. You will find one everywhere you go. And if you don't know where one is, you can head to circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. Make sure you're not missing out on all the great stuff Circle K has to offer. All right, you guys, anything else before we wrap up? Bill, anything we didn't get to that?
No, I think it's going to be an exciting offseason for the Yotes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of all the free time that he must have. Like golfing later today, sitting out at the pool.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, do you
Nothing to do.
is there anything you do to relieve the stress, or do you not get stressed over this? Like, we get stressed coming in here, and this isn't
Yeah,
that.
it's a great question because as coming in, you were hiring so many. I was hiring so many people, and we were doing so many things. There was no downtime, so it's like 24/7, and it hasn't really stopped. To be honest with you, it's nonstop just to get to the organization, a point where you do have a little bit of time, but it's still not at that point. We're going to be going all summer. It's going to be a grind. There's a lot of contracts to do. There's a lot of staffing contracts and obviously just planning for Australia and that stuff. We'll try and get away at some point in time, but it's really a summer that you got to make hay in the summer. So it's going to be exciting though. I'm really looking forward to be honest with you.
Well, get your rest when you can. We don't want you burning out because we know how important
Yes.
Bill the Builder is to everything we're doing here. So make sure, even if it's just minutes, make sure you decompress.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming back in studio. I'm excited to see the outfits at the draft.
Can't wait.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
highly
big.
anticipated.
Big.
Everybody, like PD said, get your good luck charms for May 8th. Lots of events coming up in May, and a happy early birthday to you as well.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But thank you everybody for watching, for chiming in the chat with your comments. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, PHNX Sports, and follow PHNX Sports on all social platforms as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Peters Hockey, at Leah Merrill, at Craig S. Morgan, at Sean_DePaz. Follow the show at PHNX_Coyotes. We'll be live with Javier Gutierrez tomorrow at 11 a.m. answering your questions. Come with your questions in the chat as well, because we will have time for him to get to some of the chat questions. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.